So for those of you who don't know, I've been on YouTube for, well, a long time. And I've been around for a lot of things. I've been around for a lot of phases and eras on YouTube. The one that really got me hooked and got me into it in my teenage years was the gameplay commentary phase, which is much different than the gameplay commentary format that we see today. This was a bunch of mostly dudes, the OG YouTubers, C-Nanners, Hutch, those kinds of people, just talking about their life and about abstract and deep topics, or quote-unquote deep, over top of gameplay. And sometimes they would give gameplay tips, sometimes they would talk about video games, but a lot of the times it was just either about the game or about life. This was a pretty standard format until things actually started to really grow. That's what they built like their small base of core subscribers off of, but then once they started really growing their channel, they all went away from it. And I see a lot of people grasping back at that and wondering what happened. And I spent a period of my time in life, a period of my life wanting this as well, until I finally had some time to sit around and think about it, and then I don't really care so much. And now I just find it funny whenever I see like community channels and things like that popping up and being like, let's bring back the old school gameplay commentary, let's make it new again, and blah blah blah. Let's just say that it died off for a reason, but not because there's anything wrong with the format, and this is the same format that most smaller YouTubers start out with, and that kind of shows the problem in and of itself. So if at this point you're just kind of like, Epos, what the hell are you talking about? You're not making any sense. So let's take a look at the positions that YouTubers were in when they were doing traditional gameplay commentaries. Some of them. This is not representative of all of them, but I do feel like it makes a good point. C-Nanners and Hutch specifically, just because they're the ones that I'm most familiar with and can provide the best example for. They were in their early to mid-20s. They either didn't have jobs or had jobs and they were just kind of bored and wanted to do something else, or they were just interested in games and making videos about games. They were single. They were still young. Early 20s is pretty young, and so they still had, things going on in their head, things in life to worry about, thoughts circling their head. And then as they transitioned away from that format, they grew up. They got significant others. They got real jobs, be it in the industry or otherwise. Or either they went full-time and had to commit to content that's a little bit more sustainable view and growth-wise. As I always drive home whenever I give YouTube advice, random gaming videos is not a content topic that you can actually grow a channel off of. And these channels have certainly figured that out themselves, even though they've kind of gone back to that. To grow the channel, you have to do a specific thing. C-Nanners went the Gary's Mod kind of route. Specific kind of format, repeats each day. Hutch kind of went to the live stream thing. He's kind of built a thing based on him, but he still it's more of a live stream format. That's a little different than the post, after the fact random gaming video. But essentially, when they were actually, at their peak and their prime for this kind of content, and the reason that I'm so sure about this is because the same thing happened to me, is they were single, lonely, anxious dudes who were in their early 20s and just kind of bored and wanting to connect with other people while making videos and having fun. Perfectly a great reason to do videos, a great reason to get into YouTube, and you hear that a lot whenever C-Nanners talked about why he started YouTube and stuff. It was always he wanted to connect with people. That sounds super abstract until you're either out of that phase or just thinking about it hard enough and realizing that that's essentially why a lot of people do it. They don't have anyone else to talk to. They don't have necessarily the most active friend circles. They have these confusing thoughts in their head, these anxieties to worry about, these, abstract topics to ponder because they're just kind of sitting around playing video games in their own head. And so they get it out in video form. They pop up a Call of Duty gameplay and, what is the meaning of life? Hello, everyone. And history writes itself. Well, then C-Nanners got a girlfriend, and C-Nanners and Hutch went to machinima, and they got full-time jobs, and then they got bigger circles of friends and started doing collaborative videos, and suddenly sitting in your living room recording a video to yourself talking about abstract topics that you're no longer thinking about just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And that's kind of where it went. It was the hobbyist approach to YouTube transitioned to the job approach to YouTube. It makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that. It sucks for those of us who really just kind of connected with with them and wanted to hear their thoughts. You still get a lot of that from Hutch, but not in the same format necessarily. But you can't just go back to that and make that successful. They grew their channels exponentially when they went to other things. Like St. Anders' growth grew way off the charts once he started doing, his daily Gary's Mod and hidden and reaction videos and stuff. Those are what made his channel what it is and made him so successful. So expecting him to like flip around and not do that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And at the same time, they were only really growing those kinds of channels in the first place because they were some of the first people on the platform. Everyone who's come ever since has had a lot of trouble growing a successful channel based on Call of Duty gameplay commentaries. Like all the YouTubers I know that are big now that started as just basic gameplay commentators, they didn't find their main audience or their main success until they went and did something else. I started with this, but then I moved on to something else because that's what made me more successful. And so whenever I see entire community channels popping up and people living in the past and saying, we need to make this great again, we need to pull this back and make old school gameplay commentaries popular again. You can't. Inherently, they were never popular. Inherently, they were never successful. So it's a self-defeating prophecy to or not a prophecy, but a self-defeating idea to want a specific kind of content which was never set up to be successful. People don't want to watch that. Those kinds of community channels of a bunch of random dudes talking about random topics with quality spectrum ranging from dude with a dazzle who barely knows how to talk on a microphone to professional people that want the channel to be successful. Like, you can't build an audience off that. And just whenever I see the question of where did the old school gameplay commentary go, it went away when people found success. It was only necessary when people were anxious and lonely and not doing the right thing that they're supposed to be doing. So if you're stuck in that phase, I guess, if you're the one making gameplay commentaries and wondering why no one cares, realize that you're going to have a small audience. You're going to have a small group of people that you want to connect with and build those relationships up as much as you can, but don't expect to get millions of subscribers off of it. No one else really has. And where did it go? It was a hobbyist thing. Those people got successful. You got to choose. Do you want to do this for fun versus for money, as a lot of people really stupidly say? Do you want to do it as a hobby or do you want to do it as a job? Very different content approaches, very different strategy approaches, just very different YouTube in general. So I just wanted to talk about that. I actually had the urge to have a sit-down commentary for once, and ironically, it was a meta topic, and I just wanted to get it out. So hope this made any sense. Hope it got you thinking about the format. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share, leave me a comment down below, and I will see you. Well, I don't know when. I don't do this often, so I'll see you at some point. Come watch the tech channel if you want to actually see videos from me.